Shalom. This is Hawud, and right now you're staring at my dirty steering wheel and my dirty dashboard and my beat up fist. I will be reading the introduction from the Chaldean Oracles with my juice stain on it. Yes. Okay, let's get it, y'all. The Chaldean Oracles are a collection of abstract hexameter verses purported to have been handed down by the gods to a certain Julian the Chaldean and or his son, Julian the Theurgist, who flourished during the late 2nd century CE. Although the term Chaldean is generally understood as a metaphoric sense to designate Julian's spiritual affinity with the wisdom of the East, it has also been argued that Chaldea was the actual homeland of Julian Pater, who may have migrated to Rome following the Trojan military campaigns in the East. Actually, it's Trajan. I'm sorry, y'all. It looked like that's Trajans. Another possibility recently suggested by H.D. Safrai is that the Juliana may have been of Syrian origin. This suggestion is supported in the part by the occurrence of the names Ad or Adad, the latter a corruption of the Syrian Hadad. In Chaldean material preserved by Proclus. Alright, that's just a note. In addition, the striking parallels between several of the fragments of the oracles and fragments of the Nummuis, who was both a contemporary of Julian Files as well as a native of Panama in Syria, point in the same direction. Safrai would also understand the term Chaldean in a metaphoric sense, but with a specific meaning of one who is adept in magic, an association regularly made in antiquity. Thus, the situation in the Suda, it's number 433, that Julian Pater was both. I'm gonna just show y'all what it does, just so you know. I'm not going crazy. This is where it says it's both. I don't know this language, and I don't know that language, so I can't tell you what it is. Okay, just let you see it so you know. And would mean that he was both the practitioner of magic as well as a speculative thinker, and not a philosopher from Chaldea. However, it was Julian the Theurgist who was the actual author of the oracles, as well as the writer of the works on, and the later Neoplantis also attests to other prose works of Julian. Several books of the celestial zones. See Proclus. According to the Suda entry, Julian Pater wrote only an expression which nicely captures the rather murky quality of these various systems, with their elaborate and often explorating metaphysical construction and extreme deorigination or material essence, a dualistic understanding of human nature that envisions the soul or mind as a spark of divine trapped in matter, a method of salvation or enlightenment that generally involves spiritual and ritual essence of the soul and methodizing tendencies that hypnotizes various abstractions into quasi-mythical beings. This movement away from the school traditions of Platonism towards and what is this? What is unabashed? Religiosity is the hallmark of these systems. Although all three retain a veneer of theological respectability by the assimilating elements from the eccentric Platonism of the day. Okay, that's a lot of big words. For example, the highest God in all three systems is often described as a Pythagorean terms as a monad, who either exists along of or extends into dyad. However, in the underworld, the Platonism abstract theological speculation gives way at this point to mythic formalizations, and a complex proliferation of cosmic entities is introduced, with a dominant female principle in each case operating at all levels as directly responsible for material creation as we know it. So that just literally just backed up what Big Jude was talking about the mother, the Holy Spirit. Yep, it just literally just backed up actually just what he was talking about. Right. In certain Gnostic systems, for example, she is Enoa, or Sophia in the Chaldean system. I'm trying to get this word. The problem is I can say the word in my mind, but my speech, everybody know I got a missing tooth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm quite sure y'all seen that. So it's kind of hard. I'm just dumb behind things. So I need to go get one, to be honest with you. Dynamis or Hittite in the Hermetica, life or nature, despite the abstract quality of the most of these names. A definite personal function is assigned to each of the Gnostic Sophia experiences, feelings of grief and fear. She gives birth to the demiurge, Iadaboth. Hold on, y'all. I gotta drink something. Throat getting dry here again. Iadaboth, the Chaldean. What is that? Hittite generates life from her right hip. The hermetic nature entices and unites with the primal Anthropos. Boy, he got some words in this book. I would have to sit here and look up all these words because I don't know all these words mean. This female principle ultimately reflects the world soul of Plato's refracted in varying degrees through the prism of Middle Platonism. Along the way, Plutarch will have assimilated this figure to the Egyptian Isis, Philo to the Jewish figure of wisdom, and Numuus will have a split it into opposed good and evil entities. But it is only in the underworld of Platonism that theological speculation about this figure becomes part of the revelatory myth, often to the extent that knowing the myth becomes an important condition of salvation. This is especially true of the Gnostic systems. In other words, knowledge for its own sake passes over to Gnosis for the sake of soteria, with spiritual enlightenment, often coupled with magic and ritual as a means of freeing the soul. Although there is an ongoing debate as to what types of rituals may have been practiced in the various Gnostic and Hermetic communities, and indeed to what extent such communities even exist. It is clear that the Chaldean system included a complex oh God, I can't say it. What is this word? Ascent. Oh wow, I couldn't get it. Ritual involving purifications, trance, phantasmagoria. I got it. Or phantasmagoria. Sacred objects, magical. I left my stone again. Magical instruments and formulas, prayers, hymns, and even a contemplative element, all of which was practiced, most likely in the context of a mystery community. These and other issues are discussed in detail in the following. So that was the introduction. This is theology. The first principles. Chaldean theology largely reflects its Middle Platonic origins, with a stress in particular on the transcendence of the highest God. In certain fragments, this transcendence approaches a via negative with the highest God, described as snatched away or existing outside his products. In other fragments, however, the highest God is positively characterized as Father, first, or paternal intellect. And there's like a lot of references. It's got FRR 7 through 14, FRR 739, 49, 108, 109. Monad, it says monad in between there, FRR 11, 26, 27. Then it says source, FRR 13, 30, 37. And perhaps even one, FRR 9 and 9A. This vacillation between negating and affirming the highest God is a common feature of Middle Platonism. Through ongoing transcendence in these matters, achieved principally by the Platonists, whose one is not only beyond intellect but beyond being as well. In contrast, the Chaldean supreme God is best characterized as Nous, albeit a self contemplating Nous Akan to numerous first God. But even here, the oracles vacillate. Is the Father to be acquitted strictly with his intellect, or is the so-called paternal intellect to be regarded as the first emanation of the Father. So, and if so, of what substance then is the Father, if not intellectible? The fragmentary nature of the evidence does not permit any hard and fast conclusions on these matters. Indeed, the oracles elsewhere also designate the Father abyss, a term especially familiar to the Gnostic sources. CFR 18 and notes, as well as describing him in a static term as essentially fiery in nature. CFR 3 and 37. Albeit FR price fragment, albeit totally transcendent, unlike the static God, the Chaldean Father is in no sense immanent in the world. Further, the later Neoplantis also designates him, a notion which most likely derived from the oracles, although only the verbal form is found in the extant fragments. In addition, the later Neoplantis vacillated on the matter of all the ontological status. Profri, for example, sometimes equated the Chaldean Father with the Platonin one. Proclus, on the other hand, situated him beneath the one at the first level of the intellectual other order. In the last analysis, what can be affirmed about the Chaldean Supreme God is the fact of the transcendence, but not the precise nature of it. In addition to this first God or Father, whose sole function is to think, the Platonic world of ideas, see fragment 37, 39, 40, there is a second God, demiurgic intellect, whose function is to fashion the intellectible or Empyrean world, on the model of these ideas. The second intellect is conceived of a deidic in nature. See fragment 8 through 12. And as he is turned both towards the intellectable and sensible realm in the matter of numerous second God. In this regard, the Chaldean second God is described as twice transcendent, whereas the first God is simply one transcendent. See fragment 169 and notes. These I can't get this damn word out my head. I ain't gonna even say it. Also underscores the notion that the highest God, or once transcendent, exists as a indivisible entity, whereas the second God, or twice transcendent, begins the process of division, which ultimately leads to creation and generation. In the oracles, to process of division is described in dynamic terms. The second intellect, as demiurge, is said to project the Platonic ideas, division or lightning bolts, onto primal matter, or a wound of the world soul, like Zeus hurling his thunderbolts. See fragment 35-37. By this action, the initial movements towards material creation begins. Alright, y'all. That was page 6. I'll come back and finish reading more in a few. I gotta untwist my tongue. But there's a lot in here. I mean, let me see what it says. One part is called, so the next one would be the lesser beings. The other one is Egens or something like that. It ain't legions, it's something. Angels and demons is the next one. Eons and eros. And then it's anthropology. That's the third. And then it's saltology. Wow, these some words. And then it's conjunction, conjuration, emanation of statues, binding and loosening, magical instruments and objects, anagogue. It's a lot. And this looks, it starts getting into the fragments. Yeah. So the introduction goes all the way up to, hold on, I'll tell you how far it goes up to. Page 46. And then you get the fragments, the pieces of text they have and whatever. Like, all right, I'm going to just read this very first one, right? It says, moreover, Ambloctuous and his successor and their contemporaries on the Chaldean Oracles invoke the gods as witness in those verses where they address the theurgists. It says, for there exists a certain intellect, y'all know what I'm saying, which you must perceive by the flower of mind. For if you should incline your mind toward it and perceive it as preserving a specific thing, you would not perceive it, for it is the power of strength visible all around, flashing with intellectual divisions. Therefore, you must not perceive the intellectual violently, but with the flame of mind completely extended with measure all things except the intellectible. You must not perceive the intently, but keep the pure eye of your soul turned away. You should extend an empty mind toward the intellectible in order to comprehend it, since it exists outside of your mind. Arrayed from head to toe with a clamorous light, armed in mind and soul with a triple barbed strength, you must cast to your imagination the entire token of triad, and not go toward the Empyrean channels in a scattered way, but with concentration. And the oracle giving God says such things but intellectual knowledge. The Father snatched himself away and did not enclose his own fire in his intellectual power. For everywhere power has been assigned the middle place, and among the intellectables it connects the Father to intellect. For power is with him. The intellect is from him. Wow. You know what that sound like, right? And that sound like scriptures when Isaiah is describing the Most High and Jeremiah. That's what it sounds like. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm sorry, y'all. You're up here listening to me stretch. All right. Well, I know that was a lot to swallow. It was a lot for me. That's why I kind of stopped when I got to the end of that, because that's a lot to take down. And that's something like, as for me, I probably would have to read 3 and 4 times and look up all those words. And I guess, and for you would have to listen 3 and 4 times and look up all those words. Because that's a lot. And them words is huge. So, I hope y'all enjoyed that one. Let me know. Now I'll let you guys go. Shalom.